Today's podcast is brought to you in part by John Mark Comer's book, Garden City, a book that speaks to the tension we all feel between work, rest, and purpose. The New York Times bestselling author John Mark Comer takes us to the scriptures to identify what it really means to be human and flips the script on the idea that who you are matters, not what you do. He shows that God created us for meaningful work and meaningful rest. Both matter. This book helps you ask and answer the big questions. Does God care where I work? Is there a direction for my life? So you can discern God's heart for your calling, your rhythms, and the way His Spirit wants to shape every part of your life. If you're longing for purpose and a more grounded way to live, check out the new hardcover edition of Garden City wherever books are sold.
Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, but today an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth: creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Erwin McManus's book, The Barbarian Way. Some books don't just inspire you, they confront you. The Barbarian Way, now celebrating its 20th anniversary, is one of those books. If you felt the pull of God towards something deeper and wilder than the safe, predictable version of faith that we settle for, McManus reminds us that following Jesus was never meant to be tame. It's meant to awaken courage, passion, and purpose God placed inside us. He draws from the wild stories of Abel, Noah, Moses, Rahab, and others to remind us that following God wasn't meant to be tame. Safe faith isn't working. Step into the story God is writing for you. Choose passion, choose boldness, choose the Barbarian Way. Available now wherever books are sold.
This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's Friday, February 25th, 2022, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. Very hot day today. I'm your host, Cameron Strang. Joining me from Loverland, Virginia, Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Austin, Texas, author, speaker, podcaster, Jamie Ivey.
Hey, guys.
And we have a little bit of an introduction. Our very own Derek Miner is renovating his studio right now, and FedEx lost his desk. So he's out. Tyler Huckabee is on a plane going to LA to see the War on Drugs tonight.
Oh, nice.
It's a band. So he's out. Emily is in Paris. She's going to join us in a little bit for Relevant Buzz, but I didn't want her to have to work till like 8 at night, again. So she's out. So next person up, please welcome our very own. She's been with us. She's been part of the Relevant team for years. If you listen to the Deeper Walk podcast last year, you know this voice. Gabrielle Griffin. Hey, Gabs.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
How's San Diego? You're in lovely San Diego, right?
It's great. Yeah, it's sunny and cool. Love it here.
Yeah, it's not here.
Nice.
But, so yeah, Gabs, it's her first time on the podcast. She's a little nervous. Jamie, you're a vet. Jesse, you're a vet. Any tips? Do you have any tips for Gabs on how to have a good first show? Because there's a lot of pressure on her. I was telling her before the show, if she bombs this and people sour on the Relevant Podcast because she sucked the life out of the show, it's not going to be good. So any tips for her?
I wasn't nervous until then. I wasn't.
My tip is just to remember, every word that leaves your mouth will be heard by countless people. And they will be scrutinized publicly. And people will judge your
badly.
your eternal salvation based on offhanded remarks about a political, social, or comedy related issue.
Great.
Great.
Now, just remember, they're going to be petitioning on the Lord either on your behalf
or against you.
And so I just want you to think about literally every word that leaves your mouth for the next hour and a half. So no pressure. That's all I would say. That's the best advice I can give.
Thank you for the fear that is now inside me.
Oh,
Jamie,
You didn't even know what
you're-
you should be afraid of.
Jamie, you're a vet. Do you have any tips for
I do have two tips for you.
Okay.
Gabs.
Yeah.
These are my two tips. Number one is there will be times when you're like, I want to say something, but everyone's talking. You just got to just say it. Like just jump in and say it, or else you will never get said.
It's like double Dutch.
I
Double
have
Dutch. You gotta
learned
just
this.
go for it. Yeah.
I've
You just
learned
gotta
this.
go for it.
Yeah. I've learned this working with Cameron.
You just gotta plow your way through. He's gonna keep talking if you don't stick your head up.
Yeah.
The second advice is this. If you don't want to be held accountable for what someone else says on this show, you just laugh and have this really like giggle. And then you can say, I didn't say
Jamie-
that. That was
Jamie,
Jesse. Like,
how
I didn't say
often-
that.
How often does that happen to you? Where you're like
Weekly.
I could lose a speaking gig because of something idiotic that Jesse said. Like, how often is that a fear that runs through your head?
It's not a fear. I'm not fearful, but I will say there have been a few moments on the show where I was like, I'm just not going to say anything. So then I'm not like included. No one can lump me in. I'm just laughing. I'm just laughing at the jokes, but I'm not saying them.
But the fact that you laughed is culpable. Like you're part of the joke at that point.
I will say
don't
this,
know.
Gabs. The other key is an idea commonly known as plausible deniability, and how it applies to this scenario is if you say enough just absolutely absurd things, anything you say, you could just say, "Well, I was just being absurd." You
I
know?
live by
It's-
this. I live by
exactly.
this. Yes.
I've lived by that for most of my adult life, and so here I am. So
It's working
I
out well
just
for
put-
Jesse.
I just put all my trust in Clark. I just, it's like I throw a lot of verbal
I've
noodles on
learned
the
against.
wall.
I've learned
and then
not to do
he's
that.
Right. I'm the ultimate judge here, guys.
That's right. Well, we
Or they'll
have.
just, or I'm sorry, one more thing. Or
Yeah.
Gabs, they'll just put a bleep in when you said something, but you didn't really say anything bad. But it
that's
just
way
sounds
funnier.
like you said something bad.
Unnecessary censorship is so funny to me. Like when Jamie, the lovely, kind Jamie Ivy, says something, and then we bleep it in post production, and it sounds like she said something way worse than she did. Oh,
It is funny.
It makes me so happy. Oh man. Okay, well let's just beep a whole lot of Gabs' stuff, and people will be like, "You gotta like not have her back."
No, don't do that.
Well, the reason why Gabs wanted to be here is because our guest today is Channing Tatum, and she just, she has the poster on the wall. She's been a Channing Tatum. She's the president of the fan club there in San Diego, and she just wanted to be part of this episode. So
I knew you
Channing
would
Tatum's
say
coming up later.
something.
It's pretty
That's
crazy.
really cool.
Yeah. He has a new movie coming out it's his directorial debut. It's a movie called Dog. So that's coming up later. Also, we have a very special What's Jesse Thinking? And I heard through the grapevine that Jesse said to Clark, have we ever talked about giants? So
And I said, let's get
Just
weird
in
today.
general,
Yeah, I have a lot to discuss on this topic, and I'm
Don't
tempted just
tell
to
us too
jump
much.
right to it now. But
just give
there's
us a
lot of-
foreshadowing. Just give us a foreshadowing.
there's a hidden history right under our noses, and I'm going to bring some historic quotes from notable people that will shock you. Wow. It's going to be unreal. And
I'm ready.
I don't know why I'm talking about it, but it's what I've been thinking about. Trying to distract myself. There's too much. I listen to the news when I get ready in the morning, like either NPR or like the Daily or something. There's a lot of heavy stuff, and I believe it's important to stay informed. But also, you need to give your mind a break and think about just some wild stuff sometimes. And today just felt like a wild stuff kind of day. I don't know why it just did. I don't know if you guys are in that boat, but here we are.
All right. Well, then stay tuned. Up next, Emily joins us from Paris for Relevant Buzz. listening to Foles. The song is 2 a.m., which is when I usually go to bed. Well, today's show is brought to you by UHSM. Healthcare costs have been growing year after year. Man, have they. It can lead to a lot of confusion. Thankfully, UHSM offers great and affordable health for everyone. Unite Health Share Ministries, or UHSM, is a Christian health sharing ministry that puts your health before anything else. Now, health sharing isn't insurance. The programs at UHSM are member-based fellowships where faithful people can take charge of their own health care. UHSM offers different programs to meet any and all of your needs, from telehealth options to plans that cover the unexpected moments in life. UHSM has something for everyone. For more information, head over to uhsm.org or contact a representative at 800-900-8476. Again, for more info, head over to uhsm.org or contact a rep at 800-900-8476. Okay, it's time for
Relevant Buzz.
Very buzzy. Please welcome from Paris, France, our very own downtown Emily Brown. Hey, Emily.
Bonjour, everyone.
What's the buzz today? I'm trying out new little tosses. I don't know. I don't think that one's going to stick. What's the buzz?
I think it could work. Yeah. I think
right.
you needed more Z's at the end.
Okay.
I'm really good at
All right.
going.
What's going on?
So this one is for my Wordlers or fans of Wordle. I don't know if we have an actual name, but I would like to suggest Wordlers unless someone can think of something much better. So 2 weeks ago, the New York Times acquired Wordle in a very expensive deal, might I add. And around that time, a lot of fans started perceiving that the game was getting harder. So if you don't know what the game is, there's one word a day. You have 6 tries to guess it. It's very straightforward. It's also a lot more fun than I'm making it sound, I promise. But yeah, so around that time, a lot of fans felt like the game was getting harder. Before the New York Times took it over, it had really basic, simple words. But now there were words that were using double letters. So like cynic or tacit or aroma. And you may not think those are hard words, but they are hard words if you're playing the game. And so as humanity does, they took to the internet to air their grievances and complain about the New York Times taking something that was very simple and fun and making it just unnecessarily difficult. And I don't know who the first person was to tweet that, but it just really took off. And a lot of people just really started kind of like dogging on the New York Times for making everything more difficult than it needed to be.
Is Wordle, Jamie and Jesse, is Wordle something in your worlds?
No,
Wordle...
I still haven't. We talked about it. I still haven't. And I'm, you know what, Emily, it's just like us Americans be mad when somebody makes something too hard that we can't win immediately.
Right. We got to blame somebody for our ignorance.
Somebody
the stupid
is making
New York
this too hard.
Times. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is if not only people are hesitant to change, they're hesitant to perceived change, right? Hey, my Instagram feed isn't showing up like it used to, right? I'm getting different stuff. And it's literally, who knows? Maybe the algorithm did, likely it didn't. You know what I mean? It's people just the idea of change really bothers people. And I found this and this is anecdotal. I don't have any research in front of me to show this, but I feel like this is slightly accelerated in the digital era, especially when it comes to user interface design. Our digital screens have become extensions of our sort of tactile intuition, right? We understand how to swipe, how to push, how to do this. And one little alteration to that really creates problems for people. It's like when Facebook used to make a change to the newsfeed or whatever, when people actually looked at Facebook, and it was just a full day of everybody's status updates. It's just how angry you are about a slight design modification to a free app that they are in no way obligated to use. I kind of feel like with the Wordle thing, it's the guy didn't even change it. The idea of something that they use every day changing really bothers people. But it's good to know it's still OG Wordle that we're dealing with here.
Yeah. And I think
Set the record straight.
I think what also happened is, kind of confirmation bias, where one person made a comment that the New York Times made it harder, and then everybody just immediately agreed with it and didn't try to like figure out if that was actually the truth until a couple days in after this narrative have already been pushed. So it's really interesting, like the things with Facebook algorithm change or any algorithm changing, people hear that it changed and they just automatically think it was a bad thing because one person complained about it. But, it may not actually be as bad as we perceive it, but because the first thing we saw about it was a negative thing, we kind of continue that narrative in our mind.
Yeah, I do think it's funny that Gabs is sitting here nodding silently. Like, Gabs, this is an audio medium.
I know.
Like, hard to get in. Gabs, what do you think?
Say things with your mouth.
I will.
Are you a wordler?
I'm not. I haven't gotten into it. No, I haven't gotten into it at all yet.
I do think it's funny that this is news. This is the relevant buzz, and it's just a niche thing that kind of Emily's into. and Emily and
do
Tyler.
You play, Cameron?
Yeah, every day. Yeah. The three of us compare our scores and stuff.
Like I have an awareness, having never played it, I have like an awareness of Wordle. Like I know that people play it and I see like there's little green squares. It just like people telling me how long it took them to do a task that I have no frame of reference for. Like, what value is this adding to me? And then I see people angry that they overheard the word like on the bus or something. And I'm like, okay, well, thanks for publicly letting me know, because is this how non-sports fans feel like most of the time on Twitter? Of like, I can't believe that Harden trade. They don't even know who Harden is, much less that he was traded or for what the terms were. But I'm just throwing that out into the world as if they do. Now I understand what it's like to do that, being on the receiving end of Wordle updates every morning.
Does it make you want to join Wordle, or does it push you further away?
It pushes me further.
It pushes me further too.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's not out of principle. It just that does not seem like a game that I enjoy. It seems like, oh, great, a homework assignment every morning. Sweet, can't wait. Like if it was like a
puzzle,
cool,
it's a little 2-minute puzzle.
It's a word puzzle. Okay. Do you remember back in the day? This is going to age me probably significantly, but people who are part of what Nate Bargatze calls the Oregon Trail generation, elder millennials, like when we were in when computers were first making their ways to schools, that seems like an absurd statement. Right. But I remember you had a computer lab and they would teach you touch typing for beginners with Mavis Beacon. Right. Yeah. And it had a race car game on there. I was like, sweet. I'm just going to sit here and race cars. But the way that you propel the car in the race is by typing words that show up on the screen and trying to do it for speed. And the faster and more accurately you type, the faster your car goes. It was a huge trick. Like, it wasn't a racing game. There was no excitement to that. It was just a dumb word game. And now the New York Times is trying to do the same thing. Trick me into thinking I'm having fun by playing some dumb word game. I'm not into it, man. Like, give me a real game. Give me a real race car game, and then we can talk.
Yeah. All right. What else is going on, Emily?
Well, something that I think actually affects everyone, not just Wordle. A new report came out that there is sort of a clergy shortage in America, that a lot of pastors are leaving the pulpit, whether it's for retirement or because the pressure of the pandemic is just kind of reaching their breaking point. But a lot of churches are just really struggling to find ministry leaders right now. And there's even reports that some churches in areas are kind of sharing pastors. Like one pastor will kind of oversee like up to 6 churches in some just different areas because there's not enough people that are stepping up to be leaders. And there's really no solution to it other than we just need more people. Within certain religious groups, they've announced or they've kind of released some numbers. So I know with Catholic parishes, there was like 3,000 parish or 3,500 parishes that were lacking a priest. And that was one where they're sharing.
Wow.
Yeah, they're sharing like priests in their diocese. And I think within the Lutheran Church, there were a couple kind of search committees for churches. They had said that they were actually looking into pastors from other denominations because they just weren't getting any applicants from their churches. So they were looking at like Methodist pastors because they were like, we can't stick to our denomination. We need someone to lead us.
Wow.
So it's just, some of it is anecdotal too. They talked to people that had left and, a lot of pastors were saying that it was a hard decision to make, but they have their weekends back and they're not as stressed anymore because they're not spending 70 hours a week caring for everyone. They can just kind of focus on their families.
Or 70 hours a week putting up with people's.
Yeah.
Well, there's where the bleep would go.
Yeah.
That was the moment.
And make it an extended one, Clark. Keeping up with people.
just a long term.
Lord,
Oh my
Jamie.
goodness,
And
Jamie's
then-
angry.
And then sometimes they come into your office, they look you right in the eye, and they say, well, you know what you can do with your sermon notes? This seems very specific, Jamie.
But I think that's a part of it too, is a lot of, honestly, pastors that I know have said these have been the hardest 2 years ever of their life in ministry. My own husband has said that as a pastor. And I think a lot of older pastors are retiring and we don't have a lot of people going into seminary anymore. And so I think it is a big problem that I think we're even going to see the effects of in like 10, 15 years of, even, is how do our churches function? And maybe it'll look like more churches going back to having not just full-time staff. You know, like I go to a very large church, but like these smaller churches, a lot of them might go back to how does our pastor actually work outside the church and then give us 15 hours a week or whatever that might look like.
My pastor, I mean, he left the ministry in the last couple of years. And then my brother and I were talking, every pastor that we knew growing up in the city is not in ministry anymore. Most
crazy.
of them are because of scandals, but like literally like every pastor like isn't in the ministry anymore. It's really crazy. I guess the last 2 years, it's like, I mean, we hear these stories with nurses, we hear it with teachers, and now pastors. Wow. Interesting.
I mean, it's unsurprising. I think it was Barna released a study at the end of last year that was like, it was something like 40% of pastors had considered leaving the ministry during COVID. And, you know, anyone, you know, I have some buddies that are pastors and we try to get together, you know, with some frequency. And every time, man, I have such empathy for the situations that they're put in with their congregants and just a lot of lose-lose situations, you know, like where just a basic, you know, like they can get either people are angry at them for doing what is perceived as taking a stand on like a social issue, like, you know, that maybe is related to the pandemic or something kind of happening in culture, or if they kind of try a different route, they get criticized for not taking a stand on a social issue or, you know, aligning with the wrong people politically or what. It just seems like there's a lot of no-win scenarios for people in ministry and not a lot of compassion. You know, it seems like there's almost like a lack of there's a antagonistic relationship with institutional authority figures, whether that be a doctor, a teacher, a pastor. It seems like people have just been conditioned in the last 2 years to be skeptical and antagonistic to people who are in any sort of position of authority in some sort of large institution, whether that's an education institution, or governmental or religious. And it's not fair to the people that operate. They're still human beings. Like we can be rightly skeptical of scandals and corruption and misinformation, but we don't have to be skeptical of human beings. We can take a good faith approach to people instead of, you know, side-eyeing everything they say and trying to trip them up over their own words. It's just, that's no way to live, you know?
Preach, man. All right. What else is going on, Emily?
Just to kind of round things out on a happier note, we got any fans of Reliant K in here?
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
gonna hope yes, at least one person. Wow.
I mean,
There was a time.
Silence.
There was a time. I'm reasonably indifferent about Reliant K now, but I've enjoyed their music in the past.
Wow,
When
I was
you were,
expecting
like,
more thrills
8?
from the crowd for that one.
What?
Well,
Who in this group do you think was a big Reliant K fan?
I don't know. I
Was or
just-
is? I think that's a different question, right?
I'll
Oh,
take
that's
both
true.
at
That's
this
true.
point, apparently. Either way. Well,
Gabs, have you ever heard of Reliant K?
No, and I was thinking, can you name one of their songs? Because I'm really bad with like names, but I can remember based off of like hearing the song. If I have
Is
You've
Reliant
never
K
heard.
still around? Like, is that a thing still?
Oh yeah.
yes.
Okay,
They
sorry.
are still around. They're actually on tour right now.
Oh,
And for real fans, this is going to be exciting. They back in like 2007, they did a cover of the VeggieTales song, "The Pirates Who Don't Do Anything," and on a recent tour date in, I believe, Minneapolis, fans really pushed them to sing it again, and so they brought back their song and it was a really fun time if you're a fan.
Oh.
And we have the clip from the show right now.
Thank you.
So they're covering a VeggieTales song.
Yeah, so they
Who would've
covered
thought?
it originally like 15 years ago.
Okay.
But the VeggieTales, it doesn't matter how long it's been. You may not always be a fan of Reliant K, but you will be a fan of the VeggieTales because they're classics.
Really?
You know what's funny about the VeggieTales?
Gabs, have you ever heard of VeggieTales?
Of course I have.
Gabs, you have to say
Okay,
yes.
everyone, that's timeless.
Yeah.
The other day I was listening to The Holy Post, which Phil Vischer is who's he,
Yeah.
Bob or Larry? I can't ever remember.
I don't know.
Well, he's the creator.
Yeah,
of
and
the
he
show.
voiced either Bob or Larry. I can't remember which one of them. Anyhow, my kids were in the car, and one of my kids said, "Is that Bob the tomato?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, VeggieTales lives on forever."
It does. VeggieTales will never die.
All right. Okay. Well, that's the buzz, I guess. The Reliant K covering VeggieTales. That's the big music news of the week. Okay. All right. For more, make sure to follow Relevant on all the socials and check out everything we're posting over at relevantmagazine.com. Thanks, Emily.
Bye, guys.
Stay tuned. Up next, Channing Tatum joins us. You're listening to Sharon Van Etten. The song is Porta. Where our guest today is Channing Tatum. He's worked on dozens of movies as an actor, producer, and now, thanks to his brand new film, Dog, as a director. Channing and Dog co-producer Reed Carolyn spoke with our very own downtown Emily Brown about stepping behind the scenes to tell this story and why dogs make the most memorable co-stars. Here is Channing Tatum.
I need to get back in the game, sir.
You want to get back in the game? Prove it. Sergeant Rodriguez was a legend. Family funeral Sunday outside of Nogales. They want his dog at the funeral. You do this, and you're back in the game. She won't work with anyone. 1 minute she's good, the next minute she's sending 3 guys to the ER.
What's up, dog?
And you're gonna go on a little road trip. Easy. What are y'all so scared of? Smell it out, big time.
So before I got into the interview with Channing and Reed, I wasn't quite sure what to expect talking to the both of them together. And you can hear why in our conversation. They have a very energetic energy, especially when they're together and they're feeding off each other's responses. These are really good friends. Clearly, they've worked on tons of films together. So talking with them was really fun and I really enjoyed it. But right away, they just started cracking jokes and having a huge laugh. And, Channing in particular, I feel has built a bit of a reputation for being very funny and charming. So I loved getting to witness that firsthand. Plus it's always a fun conversation when you don't quite know what's going to come out of someone's mouth. And I probably should have known better when I asked what was the most surprising part of working on the film. And they sort of side-eyed each other before they both immediately started laughing. They shared that, obviously creating a film during COVID was definitely a new challenge for them. But the biggest surprise turned out to be the other star of the movies, the 3 dogs that took turns playing Lulu. And as they explained in a little bit of a shocking detail, there were definitely some unforeseen challenges that made shooting the film a surprising but very memorable experience.
Making a movie that they let us. That they let us make a movie. We're like, it's true. Who was dumb enough to do this?
They let us have all the control?
We found the dumbest people in the industry to give us money to make a movie. We're really good at finding stupid people.
So I think that every day was a surprise. Really it was the dogs that kind of every day would throw you for a loop. Like they'd do something and you go, oh my gosh, we had this plan. It's not going to work out. We got to adapt to do something new.
The surprise, I never thought that I was going to have to deal with like a dog in heat. That was, that was actually like really messing up the day because we lost essentially 2 dogs that were in heat because all 3 of our dogs and like, what if we didn't have 3 dogs? by the way.
Yeah, it's so true.
And like
terrible.
And if it was Lana that wasn't? Like Lana 5, we had 3 dogs, Britta, Zuza, and Lana 5. Lana was our like really small dog that we only used like during certain things that she could do things that the other dogs couldn't do. But she didn't look like the size of the other dogs, and even kind of in the face, like she was like a stunt dog. And our Lana 5 and Britta, our main hero dog, went into heat, and we had to do the Ethan Suplee's like scenes in the movie where he had a dog named Nuke. Putting them in a scene together was not possible. Like it turned into chaos, like straight chaos. And so we only had one dog left to do this scene, otherwise we would not have a movie.
Lulu, is that you? Good girl.
Well, you give hugs now? Really?
Lulu gives the best hug. You've never had a Lulu hug?
No, we don't exactly hug. So you telling me that Nuke was just as messed up as Lulu?
Had to work him every day for 6 months. When he stopped struggling, that's when I realized maybe I could stop struggling too.
You know, like I said, I was really excited to speak with Channing Tatum. I have been a huge fan of his, honestly, ever since She's the Man. And it's been really fun to follow his career as, you know, he's been a dancer and a lovable jock and a security guard and all these different roles. And so I was already interested in his new film, Dog, but then I became really intrigued when I saw that he would be directing it as well. You know, like I said, he's already been part of so many projects and he's been a producer on a lot of those movies. So I was really curious why this story specifically, you know, a story about an Army Ranger and a dog traveling across the country together. You know, why was that something that he felt particularly drawn to, and why did he want to have a bigger part in this story? I also wanted to know why Channing and Reed felt like they needed to make this film together. And I was genuinely surprised to hear that they actually did have a very personal connection to the film. They both have worked with servicemen and women before, and they really wanted to share, you know, maybe not a new story, but a side to a story that the general public doesn't often see or hear about. So here's what they had to say about that.
You know, it's hard enough finding that first story to direct for yourself, much less with 2 people that feel as connected and as, I don't know, you want to always direct something that you know and something that we both know really intimately. And this was just the story. I had a personal connection to it, and Reed knew Lulu from almost the very first day that I had her. So it was, you know, it's just it's a long journey, and like this one, we really felt like we knew really well. We had a connection with like servicemen and women, and this very specific small group of soldiers that are really hard to crack, and we wanted to like show that culture to the world.
She's never slept in a nice bed before.
There ain't no shame in wanting a big comfy mattress. I was hoping you might have a room for me and my little girl.
Is that a Purple Heart? Was she wounded?
Yes, she was.
Thank you for your service.
That was Channing Tatum. Make sure to check out his new film, Dog. It's out today. All right, and stay tuned. Up next, it's What's Jesse Thinking?
Whole crew, yeah, we way up. All my demons, they gave up. Bang, bang, and they all fall to the floor. Whole crew, yeah, we way up. All my demons, they gave up. Bang, bang, and they all fall to the floor. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we coming out from the bottom. Problem. I ain't going down like Sodom. Haters like a Pokemon, you know I caught them. Cause we on the road, we ain't stopping. I don't need to sell ticks like Boston. My soul's on fire, can't block it. Can't block it, can't block it. The heavens are broken.
You're listening to Edgar Sandoval Jr. The song is Bang Bang. Okay, it's time for
What's Jesse Thinking? Oh?
That sounds like a familiar voice.
It does. Can you do it live, Gabs?
Yeah, do a live cover. Do it again. Do it again.
I will not do that to myself. I won't.
That's the third tip of the day. You don't have to do what Cameron and Jesse tell you to do.
No, you don't.
Nope.
Okay, yeah. What are you thinking, Jesse?
All right, well, I don't know about you guys, but during these strenuous times when I can't sleep at night, I just go down weird internet rabbit holes and stay up and read Reddit threads on my phone, and I've been going down a really weird one lately, guys. I'm sure you guys
Your
are
browser
aware.
history scares me.
I don't think it's just lately.
I'm sure like my internet service provider has provided my name to several significant watch lists. And so I've long ago attempted any sort of measures to stop that, because a curious mind cannot be stopped. I don't care if you're listening in SA. But okay, so there is a really, and I want to say this too on a preface, like I have a very complicated relationship with conspiracy theories. Like I think they can be incredibly dangerous, especially in the era we are in. But I think there are some that if you kind of approach somewhat tongue in cheek, but somewhat just curious and understand how reasonably harmless some are. They're kind of fun to just intellectually indulge. And the one I want to talk about is the idea that giants once roamed the earth, maybe much more recently than we realize. And the evidence of them living here is being actively covered up by large institutions that are interested in kind of protecting a specific narrative of human evolution and human history. And so the conspiracy sort of goes that institution like the National Geographic Society or the Smithsonian has long had evidence of giants, like biblical Goliath-style giants, that they've been in a secret history of their civilizations that they've been covering up to preserve sort of the narrative that they've been presenting for hundreds of years, that if this ever got out, they would be completely discredited. Now, I don't necessarily believe that element of this conspiracy, but I do think there are some interesting things in history that are worth investigating. So obviously, we all know the biblical stories of Joshua and Caleb going into the promised land and encountering people who said they were so big that they make us look like grasshoppers. We know that Goliath was an actual giant. We know that these giants are mentioned in the Bible. But
I thought Goliath was just like 7 foot tall. I mean, we have giants in the NBA, that's
Can you
kind of the
clarify what
perception I
giant
always
means
had.
then?
Yeah.
Maybe that would help.
Well, so in this case, these are individuals that would be, well over like 10 feet tall.
What?
And well, I mean, again, it's like there's some poetic license that Joshua and Caleb were using, but if they saw an entire country filled with people that made them feel the size of grasshoppers, I don't think they were just talking about like basketball team heighted people. Like these seem like supernaturally large individuals. But if you look at kind of modern history, there are actually this isn't unprecedented. I want to read a quote. And actually, there was a time in American history where it was just a foregone conclusion that giants were real. I want to read a quote from former President Abraham Lincoln. Okay, so Abraham Lincoln, the year is 1848, and he's campaigning around the country. And he's, doing political campaigns, and he does a stopover at Niagara Falls. And as he's there standing at Niagara Falls, he uses it as like a point of reference for something that's been around for a long time. And I want to read a quote from that speech. But notice how casually he says something in this speech. He says, he's pointing to Niagara Falls. He says, but still there is more. It calls up the infinite past. He's referring to Niagara Falls. When Columbus first sought this continent, when Christ suffered on the cross, when Moses led Israel through the Red Sea, nay, even when Adam first came from the hand of his maker, then as now Niagara was raging here. The eyes of that species of extinct giants whose bones fill the mounds of America have gazed on Niagara as ours do now. Wait, what? A president just saying like, hey, you know how we got all those giants buried all over the country? They were once all Niagara. Like he just says it as a sort of foregone conclusion that every American knows that the country was populated by giants. In 1520.
I've never heard this in my entire life.
Ever.
This is documented. That is a speech from Abraham Lincoln, a former president.
And
obviously
he's honest, Abe.
He's honest.
Honest
right.
It's a good point. That lends even more credibility. John Smith, from Jamestown settlement, he wrote about encountering a tribe of giants in the 1600s. Americo Vespucci who the navigator who America is named for, wrote about visiting an island of giants in 1499. He said that they were so tall in stature we regarded them with astonishment. This is from Ferdinand Magellan in 1520. He was traveling around the world and he encountered another island that was populated by giants. He said when he was before us, talking about the giants, he began to marvel and to be afraid. He raised one finger upward, believing that we came from heaven. And he was so tall that the tallest of us only came up to his waist. So the tallest person in this exploration group only came up to this giant's waist. This is Ferdinand Magellan in 1520.
So that would put the person at like 11 or 12 feet tall. If that's true. That's crazy.
That's still disappointing. I think it needs to be bigger. I think they need to be taller. I picture giant. If I picture a giant, I'm picturing like the size of a building. It's not a giant if it's not a person the size of a building.
But a story of a building is 10 feet. So a 12-foot tall person would be taller than a one-story building.
It'd be taller than a basketball hoop.
I would still think basketball player. I would still think basketball
player. But 2 feet taller than the hoop. You know, like a normal basketball player is like 6.5 feet tall. This is double that. That's crazy.
I see your point. Yeah.
But throughout history, and like I said, recent history, that quote from Abraham Lincoln was only from the 1850s.
Where did they all go? He know? Where did all these giant lands go?
This is the question, right?
Exactly. Welcome down the rabbit hole, Cameron. What are all these notable, otherwise credible historical features referencing?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please do.
Could it be like native people who were already here before everyone showed up? Is this a maybe thought?
Oh, I'm sure that's the implication. But again, these are from cultures all over the world. These aren't isolated just to North America. A lot of these encounters are in, every culture seems to have reference to species, to communities of giants. It's pretty much in every culture. What happened? Why do we not really hear or really seriously have any serious historical investigation, even though there's lots of evidence, at least secondhand evidence throughout history? And to Cameron's point, if someone like a former president just offhandedly remarked about how they're just buried all over the place, why don't we know where any are today?
Right.
It's a very
They're
big
finding
mystery.
dinosaur bones and ancient tombs all the time. Like you'd think 12-foot skeletons would be a thing,
Well, in 1931, they actually found 2 skeletons near a cave in Nevada. One was about 10 feet tall. One was 8.5 feet tall. And not long after, a couple years later, they found one that was 7 feet 7 inches. And so now obviously go ahead, Jamie.
Well, I was going to say this. I just felt like this is like something random that Jesse is talking about. Like, is this really a thing? And I just hit in Google giants in America. List after list after list about this.
Wow.
People are talking.
I know people are talking. People are waking up. No, I don't I think it can be dangerous to indulge like I said, dangerous conspiracy theories. But I also think there are interesting things in history that are just unfashionable to talk about for a variety of reasons, mainly because, it doesn't attract serious scholarship. But a couple years ago, it seemed completely absurd to even entertain the idea of trying to intellectualize something like UFOs. Now it's part of just our common parlance to try to understand a mystery. I think something like this, so some sort of historical mystery like this, it is absurd seemingly to talk about, but I don't think that makes it any less interesting when you look at some of the anecdotes throughout history.
I can't believe that there would be like if a civilization is wiped out like the Aztecs, there's remnants of the civilization in the historical record, and like for there to be globally civilizations of giants completely obliterated and erased from history, and there's like no real record of it, that makes no sense.
If you believe the Bible, this is accurate. You know what I mean? The Bible's very clear that there were at least one civilization of giants.
Yeah, I'm listening.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, we have a biblical account. We have seemingly historical. We just don't have the physical evidence.
I just always assumed that the Philistines were kind of like, there's certain civilizations that are shorter, and diminutive, and and that their genealogy is just smaller in stature. And then there's ones that are big and muscular, like Vikings. And I just always assumed that the Philistines was just that contrast, like a little shepherd boy versus like this big, tall, 7 foot, Hercules looking guy. And like, it was just like verbally described as being a giant. Like he was giant, he's big and imposing, but like a literal 12 foot tall creature. Like, how come we don't, where are they? Like, how come there's no tombs?
Precisely. Well,
someone didn't want us to know.
There's a TV series about this, Jesse.
What's it called? I'm in.
Search for the Lost Giants.
In.
It's
done right there. I'm in. It's in the queue.
It is a documentary. Jim and Bill discover a previously unknown hidden chamber where they believe a giant skeleton may be buried.
Now, some biblical scholars believe, and this is where it gets wild. I told you, Clark, we're going to get weird today because
you're going
there's
further.
A lot of.
Oh wow!
There's
more. Well, what here? There are some theories by biblical scholars that the giants referred to in the Old Testament were actually the offspring of an unholy union of fallen angels and people known as Nephilim. And again,
is that the rock monsters from the Moses movie or the Noah movie?
That was their interpretation of that. But
Okay.
A common biblical scholarly interpretation was that pre-flood things were really weird. Like and you can read the Genesis narrative literally, figuratively, however you want. But I'm just saying what a theory is, depending on how you read the Bible, that pre-flood, fallen angels and people kind of intermingled and had offspring, and these offspring inherited traits of humans, but also of like of angelic beings, making them giants. And that was partly the reason they had such an antagonistic relationship with the Israelites, is because they were sort of this
supernatural.
Yeah, exactly. So
Clark,
anyway,
will you beep when he said intermingled? Because that would be funnier.
Sure.
Like the angel.
Sure, I can.
And just extend it. They beep, 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 beep.
We're just going to randomly bleep a lot of things in this show for.
That was unnecessarily graphic. I think we understood the implication without going in. And then
It sounds like you're describing the act. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. So then that would give a different reasoning why God had to like start over and like flood the earth. Let's get rid of this weird stuff. Let's start with a little human family and like reset. That's interesting.
Precisely. And some people interpret, well, again, this is where it gets really trippy. Some people interpret the verse in Revelation where it says, I believe it's in the book of Revelation, it says, the end times will be as of the days of Noah. And some people interpret that to be some sort of return of these giants. So nothing to worry about. We have
that doesn't explain like why Abraham Lincoln saw them. He wasn't around before Noah, so it's like
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
There's a couple lurking.
They
a couple
live
that
among
knew
us.
how to tread water, and they just kind of like went up into the mountains or something.
The further down this rabbit hole you go, creeper it gets. So if you can't sleep at night and you just have a wandering mind, now you know a really fun, weird rabbit hole to go down. That's what I've been thinking about.
What happened to the giants?
Thank you, Jesse. Wow.
Bigfoot is real.
You think Bigfoot is an offspring of a demon and a human?
Bigfoot. It's potential.
Gabs, you're there in the you're there in the west side of the U.S. there.
Well, but Bigfoot, the Bigfoot Museum is in the Smoky Mountains in Appalachia here in the Southeast. The Bigfoot, there's a version of Bigfoot in pretty much every region.
Jane Goodall. You guys know Jane Goodall, who lives amongst the apes, and she's still around. And she I think she's in her 90s, but she recently wrote a book, and I was following some of her press tour, and she's a very credible figure in the science community, particularly for her research into primates. And she was on WTF, Mark Maron's podcast, and talking about her book. And he just kind of offhandedly at the end of the interview, because if you're going to ask Jane Goodall about Bigfoot, do it at the end of a 2-hour interview so that you have nothing to lose. You got everything you needed. Like you've been talking to the woman for 2 hours. Right. If you're going to drop a Bigfoot bomb, drop it then. Mm-hmm. When he did, he was like, hey, what do you think about Bigfoot? And she actually had a really interesting story of, she was visiting. It was like a very, very remote island that was almost untouched to try to find. And I'm gonna probably butcher this a little bit, but I'm paraphrasing here. But anyway, she was in a very remote location. She wanted to find out if there was like a population of silverbacks there. And just for scientific purposes. And these are people basically uncontacted, and would have no frame of reference for like an American Bigfoot story. Anyway, she came to these village elders and say, I want to come back at a certain amount of time. Can you ask around the village if anyone has seen any like apes or gorillas or primates who are interested in doing some research, blah, blah, blah. So she comes back. All the hunters come and like, yeah, we got some stories. And we're talking about these creatures that walk upright, that are basically describing what an American preconception of Bigfoot is. These are like tribal hunters who said they encountered them all the time. And they would have no frame of reference for any sort of like American pop culture construct.
Did she leave a digital camera and said, please, next time you see one here, use this and email me the JPEG? See, that's why I don't believe stuff like that, because it's like because
there's no pictures,
there's no documentation. Like, okay, so they see them all the time. Well, then it'd be very easy to capture footage of one.
But I don't think this is a tribe that even utilized any sort of contemporary technology.
She could leave an intern behind to like go out with the hunters, and like the intern can.
Cameron, you seem very frustrated at me about this, and I think you need to take it up with Jane Goodall. You can get her on the blower. Clark, do you mind seeing if she's just on Skype? Just type Jane Goodall on Skype and see who comes up. Hello, Cameron. You have a question about Bigfoot.
Most of Jane Goodall's career was this one island or one mountain. The gorillas. It's the last mountain where the gorillas are in the wild. It's in the corner of Uganda and Kenya and the Congo. And I was there and hiked up and saw wild gorillas and stuff years ago.
Wow.
But it was the Jane Goodall mountain. And I had a silverback charge me, and it was quite scary, actually. So
did you get a picture of it? That's how we need to know if this really happened, Cameron.
I'll believe you when I see the footage.
I did. I actually, that's why I got charged, is because like we came across this family and they were all asleep in a clearing, and I set my camera up on a tripod and I carefully scurried up to the family and like squatted down to get a picture of myself with the gorillas. And they woke up. And so like I saw the guides, like we had armed guards because there's like poachers and stuff. Like, so we had like military people with us. I literally saw them push the 5 or 6 of us in the group, push them into the brush to like he's a goner, but they're gonna save them. And the silverback, the dad, like was asleep, and so he was startled by me, and he stands up and does the King Kong, beats his chest, and then charged at me, and then he stopped like 2 feet in front of me, smelled me. And then like the kids are like running around me like I'm a tree, like they're literally playing tag, like bumping into me and stuff. It was the most surreal moment of my life. But it was on the Jane Goodall mountain, like where she.
Did you just like poop your pants or something? I mean, that had to be
I was paralyzed. Because like literally like the group like went away, like they ran to safety, and I was left alone in this clearing with a family of gorillas. And I do have footage of it.
You had 2 options. One is to just let the gorilla maul you, or just join the gorilla family and start a new life amongst them. Just amongst them. To me, it's you and Jane Goodall, the only people ever invited in. And as Kramer says, once you're in, you're good.
You're good. Yeah. But I didn't see any Leviathan or Bigfoot people either. So
well, they don't want to be seen. For
exactly.
Some reason,
I had camera gear on me.
Respect that.
Yeah. All right.
So I don't know. Draw your own conclusions.
I'm just like the thing that I believe what you're saying. The thing that bugs me is that there's no evidence of these bodies. And if it was whole lands of people and whole civilizations of people, there would be skeletons that are more commonly found. You know what I mean? That's the thing that bugs me about some of these conspiracies.
Do you believe the Bible?
Yes, but again, I always interpreted the Philistines as just like tall, like warrior type people. You know what I mean? Like strong Hercules looking people. I didn't think they'd be like 12 feet tall. Man, now I'm like,
I think we need to watch this documentary and I'll report back. So I know what I'll be doing this evening.
Yep. All right. That'll do it for
What's Jesse thinking?
Oh?
Well, before we wrap up, I want to thank Channing Tatum and Reed Carolyn for joining us today. Make sure to check out their new film, Dog. It's in theaters now. Also, some updates. Make sure to check out relevantstore.com for our latest merch, our annual print edition, podcast fan gear, and more. Some great deals going on right now. Relevantstore.com. Also, at relevantmagazine.com, make sure to sign up there on our homepage and on the right or the sidebar of all the articles. Sign up for our daily newsletter to keep up all the great content we're putting out on the site. It's our top 5 trending stories every morning delivered to your inbox. It's a great way to stay in touch. On that note, we'll wrap it up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Jamie Ivey.
I'm Gabrielle Griffin.
There you go. Making her debut. Great job, Gabs. You know what? You should sit in for the Tuesday show. Let's do that.
Yeah.
All right. She'll be in for the Tuesday show. Okay. We'll see you guys. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
Well, you know what you can do with your sermon notes. Beep, 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 beep.
Relevant Podcast Network.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care. Go to Dutch.com to get vet care that is always there for just $92 a year.